let me be very specific here. What refreshes your memory, if it does, after locale, did she say what he was doing at her place?
She stated that he was like hiding out at her place.
Hiding out at her place?
Yes.
All right. Now, did Ms. Smith also tell you, did she also mention her boyfriend's brother?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury only what name of the boyfriend's brother that she gave?
She gave the name Peanut.
Okay.
Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome to the channel. It's your girl, Mocha. Hope everyone had a blessed and wonderful week. YSL. Woo! So, I'm just going to start off with the bang. Well, it's not really a bang. It's a little thud, really. But, Quindarius Zachary has an attorney now. It looks like the DA is going to try to offer him immunity to get him to testify, but also make sure they dangling over his head that he's on probation. So he better make sure to testify how they want him to testify. Otherwise, they can potentially do what they want to. I really do hope this attorney goes over that agreement well and really articulates actual things and tailors that agreement to what is good for his client, or declines it legitimately, because he doesn't have to accept it, or he just declines it. You know what I mean? AS, or Entrevius Smith, interesting, but let's be real, she kind of already was talking to people. They put a witness on the stand that had been watching this case on social media. Knowingly, it looks like. And so that's kind of interesting. State got in trouble a few times this week trying to bring in acts that weren't necessarily intrinsic or have anything to do with this case. But, let's just say 2 months ago, 3 months ago, this would have been okay. Predecessor judge probably would have seen the relevance and allowed it, but Judge Whitaker kind of stood 10 toes down and did not. So let's be happy with that. But I wanted to drop a little nugget in the meantime. So today is Thursday. There was another trial going on today. Well, it was a hearing, not a trial, with Ashley Merchant in the Fulton County DA's office regarding some open records requests that she sent back in January that they either A, did not respond in a timely manner to, or B, didn't respond at all to, or C, gave her partial documents for. And when you talk about, how Love likes to get in front of the judge and talk about how witnesses are difficult and choosing not to respond or answer for various different reasons, and it may have something to do with intimidation by the defense. Yes, I'm going to make a bunch of different faces. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm sorry, I got pulled away from YSL when I kind of watched that over lunch and just got stuck on it, because there's a records custodian that's in the Fulton County DA's office. Yeah. Kind of seeming like a difficult witness that may not be answering proper requests or responding or cooperative at all. But could that be any influence by the DA's office? I wonder. I'm gonna clip in, and guys, I don't know his name because I really didn't get it. I kind of started in the middle of it, and then yeah. But yeah, this, I know he's the custodian of records for the Fulton County DA's office. So anytime you do an open records request, supposedly it goes to his office. If it's a request that needs to be escalated, it then goes to him. So he is the man with a plan that is in charge of this type of request. He is the go-to person. If they're needing, records requests for county officials' phones and things of that nature, or payments made by the county to vendors. He is the person that you're supposed to go to for that. And yeah, he wasn't very cooperative. So much so that I think at some point in time he told Ashley Merchant he will not speak to her in any capacity. Even via email. You know how I love get real pouty about Steele not wanting to communicate with her and hurting her feelings? Guess the DA's office got a few of them themselves that, and maybe it's not so much so that they don't want to communicate with them. Maybe it's more so like they don't know how. Because these are people or attorneys that know their job. And it seems that the DA's office does a lot of the pot calling the kettle black. I'm just saying. And I am for sure going to clip some of my screen grabs in there. Guys, I'm just kind of now learning how to do this, so bear with me. There are some times that I guess I turned my phone and it was recording a different way. But I hope you bear with me on this. But it was really interesting to see the DA kind of do the same thing that they accused other witnesses in the YSL trial of doing. That was really interesting for me. And this is someone who works in the DA's office, who has a fairly high position in the DA's office, who's an attorney within the DA's office. He may not necessarily be a prosecutor, but he is an attorney. And to listen to the way that he would try to talk over Ashley Merchant, talk around the questions that she would ask, try to rephrase her questions and restate what she had stated. Guys, it's interesting. And what's even more interesting is, this hearing was done at the same time. Well, the YSL trial was going on forever. So everything they do at the same time as the YSL trial may not get as much attention. But, I hope you guys find it enlightening. But anyways, back to YSL. I didn't catch all of the afternoon. I'm going to go back and kind of rewatch some of it. And I may add that into another rant for another day. But, it's a lot more of officers testifying. And if I clipped this very specific thing with Love, when they bring back the officer from yesterday, they bring him back again today to talk about the shooting at Intrivia Smith's house. I zoomed in on it. It's interesting when Love asked him to refer to his report. Oh, kind of watch where her finger goes. She literally points out exactly what it is she wants him to look at. And I don't know if anybody caught it, but I caught it. And so I'm going to clip it and I'm going to put it in here, because when they be handing these people these documents, it look like they be getting real sneaky with what they be trying to do in the midst of that. So y'all need to start paying attention to that. Almost just as much as with Glanville and Hilton. Yeah, it's good all the way funky. Now, I think I'm starting to catch on to certain stuff that they be trying to do. Gotta watch them. It was a lot of freaking, officers testifying. A lot of officers testifying to the same thing. Looks like Sprinkle is up. Again, I didn't catch all of the afternoon, but I just wanted to tap in real quick. I'll try to include some clips within this rant to just kind of, you know, let y'all know how I'm feeling. But I'm so over this case. I'm so tired of the DA's office just being sneaky and more sneaky and more sneaky, and they just get to be as sneaky as they want to be. But anytime the defense try to just, you know, try to make them chill out with the BS, they just ugh. I'm just so glad I don't live in Atlanta. I mean, I'm not saying all DA's offices like that, but I'm glad I haven't had that experience with mine. So, you know, share, like, subscribe, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you guys for subscribing. I did want to shout out someone who commented on one of my videos. I was trying to reply, but somehow I accidentally deleted it. That person was letting me know that when I was ranting on my little D video that I think I had referred to sickle cell anemia as an autoimmune disease. This person's name, I don't want to say your name, but you know who you are if you commented. I referred to it as an autoimmune disease. I apologize. I went back and corrected that in the description. It's not, but it does affect your autoimmune system. You know, it's a disease of the blood cell, sickle cell anemia. But I think in my festivity of what was going on, I was just talking my mess and didn't realize I did that. So thank you so much for catching that. Yeah, you were kind of snippy, but I appreciate you for catching that and bringing that to my attention, because you don't want to put a false narrative out there. You don't want to put false information out there. So thank you so much for alerting me and letting me know that I misspoke. I hope I didn't delete the whole rant, because I didn't, but I did try to correct myself. I was in the moment. I was upset. So to everyone who viewed that video, I am so sorry for misspeaking like that. But you know, in the heat of the moment, when you talk a mess and you upset, sometimes you will misspeak. It happens. So for those of you that got it and understood, I appreciate you so much. For those of you that has been commenting on the videos and we've kind of been having a dialogue back and forth, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, just continue to like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm up all hours of the night sometimes because I work 2 jobs. So yeah, I will comment back to you if I see it. Certainly will. And yeah, you guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Till next time. Bye. There we go. Okay. And then the letter that we're referencing is that same letter that you gave us earlier. It's at Merchant 0087.
That deals with a whole lot of open records requests.
Yes.
So let's go to that letter. Let's look at 011724.
It's 0087.
00. Okay.
And you wrote, in regards to this request specifically, that this office does not maintain responsive records and cannot produce the records I seek.
Show me.
It's number 5.
Number 5. So that's 01924. Right? Number 5. 01924.
Oh, so the request,
so you go, I'm confused.
So the original request is, oh, you'll go to the next page then. It's 011724.
Zero 017. Okay, you can direct me.
It's number 8. Yes. Number 8.
If that is 011724 related to promotion material rebranding, that's how I responded. Number 8. Yes.
So you never provided any records in regards to this response?
I cannot say that because that is not my contention. You asserted to this honorable court when you started looking at this open records request that this 5 things, some of them have been resolved, and there is no longer in this litigation. So I cannot tell you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 what I didn't do. I will take you at your word to say that some of those things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was provided to you. So I'm not willing to say I gave you nothing when you have said, hey, I looked at it, some of this stuff has been resolved.
Do you have any knowledge as to how some of the stuff was resolved?
Objection, Your Honor. So it's my understanding that as it pertains to this request, that the only issue at hand was regarding the rebranding materials regarding rebranding and promotional materials. So
And the critical mention payment.
Okay, so tell me, Ms. Merchant, why it, in response to Ms. Monroe's objection, why if some of these documents have been provided to you at some point, in some manner, through some method, why is it relevant today that they were or were not produced in response to an open records request that you served or provided to the state?
It's not at all. But he said that part of this was responded to, that he responded to part of it, and that's not accurate.
They did not, the open records people did not respond to any of that. It has been made moot outside of that, in a separate litigation, so I didn't include it in the lawsuit. But he is very literal with these words, and so I was trying to, like, that one request is not an issue. I was trying to save time by taking that request out, but then the witness has now said, well, when we complied with it, and they have not actually ever complied with that. So that's not accurate. Okay. Again, I think we're getting bogged down in semantics. The fact that the information and data or documents that were sought by plaintiffs at various points through their open records requests have now at some point been provided to them is not the same question as were they produced in response to this Open Records Act request, and if so, when? And so to the extent that's the conversation we're trying to have, that's allowable. And with that clarification, please go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm trying to be clear. So in regards to this request, what did you do to actually locate any records?
Received that particular open record request. I went through it. I cannot tell you if this particular request was elevated to me. I do know that I do not know what rebranding is. I do not know that I do not know what promotional material is. I do know that I responded to that. I cannot speak generally about this, but specifically about this open records request. But I would have done to this request what I have done in all.
Did you ask for any clarification if you did not understand what the term promotional material or rebranding meant?
I will not, I've said this to the record and I'm gonna repeat this again. I'm not having a private conversation with you, Ms. Ashley Merchant. So no, I would not contact you. I am not going to email you. I am not going to talk to you to look at any clarification. I find you to be extremely disingenuous, so I won't talk to you. And clarifications don't require me to reach out to you. What it does for the open records request is require you to put me in a reasonably calculated situation to give you what you had. But let's be clear. If you think that I'm gonna reach out to you and talk to you, I'm not.
The fourth request, critical mention, any payments, requests for payments, bids, or paying of critical mention. Did you do anything in regards to that request?
I thought we talked about critical mention.
If I had to ask for it a third time. And so in regards to the third request, where I asked for the same check that we now have gotten from critical mention, but not from you, did you do anything?
So I'm going to repeat this for the third time. The critical mention came in on January 8th. On January 18th, I gave you 44 pages. On January 19th, you renewed the request. Again, the first request had 5 different things. On January 19th, you only elevated one thing. I assumed on January 18th, you got everything. Because when you don't have something, you elevated that one issue. I then worked to work on that one issue that was elevated. So to answer your question for the third time, no, I did not give you anything on January 18th. I assumed that the records was responsive and they were complete.
You gave no records in response to this request. None.
According to number 8, I said the Office of the Fulton County District Attorney in its normal course of business does not maintain responsive records. As such, we cannot produce the records you seek. Number 8.
I asked you what you did to locate the records to give me that answer. Who did you ask for records, if anybody, to give me that answer?
Let's go back.
Who did you ask, if anybody?
I have to see the request.
Give me that
This
answer.
request was 5 different things. So if you, again, 1,000 requests, right? What we have discovered right here is all your requests came in from September and a lot came in January, right? So in this particular January, I have to go back to it to tell you what I did on these 5 open records requests. So if you can put those things back on the court, I can tell you.
Well, I'm not asking about 5. I'm asking about number 8. It's open records, number 8. That's the only one I'm asking about.
Gotcha. So we can agree that number 8 corresponds to your open records request. Your open records request seeks 5 things. If you can put those 5 things on the screen, I can answer your question as to relate what I did for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
I can make 2
Merchant
easy.
0025.
As it relates to branding and promotional, I don't even know what you're talking about. So I told you, let's move on.
Merchant 0025. All right, here it is.
Number 1, outside counsel. That was a.
I'm not asking you about that, so we can move on. I haven't asked you about that.
Okay.
But in regards to number 2, I know you said you don't know what promotional material means, but what, if anything, did you do in response to try to find responsive documents for this?
Can I tell you what I did specifically? That's a conversation with staff, because my POV may be limited. What are promotional materials? I don't know. So I don't know what I did specifically. I don't know what. But what I did do is say that I do not have any process for hiring and bids for paying vendors for promotional material. I don't have that.
Number 3, rebranding. Any payments, requests for payments, process for hiring bids, and paying vendors for rebranding material. Did you do anything in response to this request?
As a COO of the office, I know about bidding, and I know that there is no hiring or bids related to period, as to certain things. And then as it relates to rebranding specifically, I don't know what that is.
Did you do anything in regards to this request?
I reviewed it, I accepted it, and consistent with the Open Records Act, I gave you a tracking number and I responded to it. So yes, me or my staff did something to this.
Did you do any searches or request any records in regards to this?
As it relates, I'm gonna say yes. You don't want to talk about number 1, but I'm pretty sure that I did a search because you have those responsive records. As it relates to number 2, promotional material, I told you I do not have process of hiring bids. It doesn't require me to do research on that. As a COO of the office, I know the answer to that question. As it relates to rebranding, I think the court and I can all agree, right, that this particular matter, I don't know what that is. As it relates to critical mention, I have discussed several times what my position is as it relates to critical mention. And as it relates to TBI, I did respond. There's no responsive records to that. So did I do something? Yes, I responded in compliance with the Open Records Act. That's what I did.
So my question was, what did you actually do to locate the records? Did you perform any searches?
There were no searches to perform outside of number 1. So I'm pretty sure I did a search for number 1. As it relates to number 2, there's no search because there's no process for hiring bids for promotional material.
So
For
tell
number
us
3,
what you did in regards to number 1 then, since you brought it up.
what I would do with any payments, because you requested a lot of payments, right, in previous open records. You requested a lot of contracts. That is something that I can pull as it relates to EMS and provide to you.
So in regards to number 1, can you tell us what you did?
Again, Your Honor, this is outside of the scope of what open record requests are at contention here. If we could just focus on the open record requests or the materials that are missing and that have not been provided.
Judge, I think that you deserve an answer, though, that nothing was done in this.
Hang on. I'm gonna save you the time and trouble of making that argument and say, I agree with you that what he provided in response to this request isn't relevant, but the process that he followed, the effort that he made to respond to it versus others, or in a similar way as a process he followed to respond to others, I think is relevant, and so I'm gonna let him answer the question. Your objection's overruled.
Repeat the question, please.
In regards to request number 1, outside counsel, I requested any payment, request for payment, process for hiring bids, paying outside counsel, including the reference retraining, which was discussed during the Board of County Commissioners meeting in November 2023. You'll remember you appeared in front of them. There was a big discussion about this. What did you do in response to that open records, number 1?
I cannot recall specifically. I cannot recall.
Do you recall if you did anything in regards to this?
I can speak generally what I would have done. I cannot recall specifically as it relates to this request.
So how can you tell us that it's been fulfilled then if you don't know what you did?
Because as it relates to outside counsel, I cannot specifically tell you what I've done. Generally, for payments, I would have looked to see if there are any outside vendors, which you have asked me for via open records request, and I have supplied to you responsive records to this. So I don't know how to answer your question, and I cannot specifically talk about tracking number 11724.
What did you do to search for information about the retraining that was required during the Board of County Commissioners meeting? And you remember attending the Board of County Commissioners meeting in November 2023?
I do.
And you remember there was a big discussion about the DA's budget for things, printing, promotional material, things like that.
That's not how it was reframed, but I do remember that I was present and I represented the office at that BLC hearing.
And the purchasing department had some concerns because you had quite a few outstanding debts or
Sorry,
payments.
what department?
Purchasing.
Purchasing.
Sorry. Had concerns about all the spending for promotional material.
That's a mischaracterization of the purchasing department.
Okay, I don't want to get down into the weeds of what, because also there's an official record of what went down at the BOC meeting on whatever day, and if it ever becomes relevant, I can find it and listen to it and know what was said. So let's move.
Yes. Okay. What is relevant is what did you do in regards to when I asked for the communication that was referenced at that meeting? Purchasing said they had gotten with you on retraining your office about purchasing. I asked for that communication. It was referenced during that meeting. What did you do to find that?
That particular training was done by me and the CFO. It was a conversation between me and her. So there is no documents related to that particular training. It was done via Zoom. So that's all. Again, I cannot tell you specifically what I did with this open records request. If the conversation is about this particular training, I can tell you what it was. I can tell you that your statement of the purchase department is mischaracterized, and I can tell you that there are no records related because that happened via Zoom and we had a conversation about how to proceed forward.
So you did nothing in regards to looking for correspondence about that, setting up that Zoom or anything like that?
I know I would not set up the Zoom, so no.
Okay. Let's move on to forfeiture reports. So on January